Hello everybody, Dave Neal here. We have Sunday voicemails. I got voicemails from you guys. We're going to just play them. I have a decent amount here. Let's go through them and see what you all have to say. If they're too long, I might just have to cancel them, so try to keep it entertaining for me, folks. No hard feelings if we can't make it through them, but let's get through these voicemails. These are the voicemails you have left me over the week. These are the ones I haven't got to. We played so many earlier on. Discussing the Colton Underwood situation. I'm sure some of these voicemails might discuss Matt James, maybe someone else. Let's play it and let's see what we have.
This is Lily from New York City. I just wanted to call in first of all to say thank you so much for covering this issue about Colton. I think it's such an important conversation to have. But my take on it is that, it just kind of brings to mind this phrase that some of us have heard, which is hurt people hurt people. And that's not at all to excuse what Colton did, because in my opinion, it's inexcusable. But I do think it's important to acknowledge that a lot of people who commit abusive behavior do so from a place of hurt and insecurity themselves. And in order to sort of address this whole issue overall, it's important to look at sort of what causes it, which I think is this sort of hyper-masculine world that a lot of men grow up in, and they're taught to be a certain way, and they're not taught to manage their emotions and manage disappointment. And so they end up lashing out against the people around them. So, Colton's not the first person to do these things. He definitely won't be the last. And so, it's just really necessary, I think, to look at the sort of culture that breeds this type of behavior rather than just looking at it as an isolated incident. Well, thanks so much, and appreciate it. Love your content. Bye.
Thank you for the call. Yeah, hurt people hurt people. I mean, it makes sense. Question is, you go through school. By the way, I cut my finger. Do you guys see that? I cut my finger, and there was no, speaking of manliness, there's no manly Band-Aids in my house. So I had to get a heart Band-Aid, which it's a cute Band-Aid and everything, but it's not meant for a manly cut. I really punctured the hell. I was picking out stuff out of the dishwasher, and I just stabbed myself with a little charcuterie knife type of thing. Blood everywhere. I just had my coffee, so there's the heart's pumping extra. All right, we'll see if we can make through it. Hold my hands up high. Hurt people hurt people. Yeah, we look at high school and college. In high school, they teach you all these stupid things in classes. You need to learn about Mesopotamian, pottery. And it's no one's teaching us how to invest. No one's teaching us how to buy a home. Or no one's teaching us how to learn how to breathe so we don't flare our limbic system and do something irrational. We've got this world of genetics that wants us to have this fight or flight response. And we need to learn to be calm, cool, and collected. We need to learn how to get our breath and ground ourselves. And so many people, athletes, have a hard time, men, in particular, have a hard time controlling their emotions. It's very difficult. With your guys, you might be able to yell at each other, this and that, but you can't do that in a relationship. You need to learn how to calm yourself, get your point across, communicate. And no one teaches that. That's something you have to learn on your own, which is fine, but some people just don't get there. Thanks so much for the call.
Susan from Michigan again. Sorry. I just want to let you know that the video John Lovett gave for Netflix is on YouTube. And if you do play voicemails, God, I hope you don't play this one because I don't think I can hear my...
All right, I won't play it anymore. All right, let's go back to your other voicemail. Sorry about that. I don't listen beforehand. This is your first voicemail.
Hi, Dave. This is Susan from Michigan. I just wanted to give you a heads up. There is a video on YouTube from John Lovett. I'm not sure if you know, he's a former Obama staffer, incredibly smart, funny, openly gay. His partner is Ronan Farrow. He works with Crooked Media and Pod Save America, but he just had something, it's called Gay for Netflix on Colton, and it's so interesting from his perspective. And he's got a guest with him. Thanks. Bye.
I'll have to check that out. I'm not going to play it right now, but I'll check that out. And thank you for sharing it. I love when people share info with me. All right, now I've got 3 voicemails in a row from the same number. Let's go to the first one and see what they're saying, but I can't play all 3 of them.
Hi, Dave. I'm going to remain anonymous because it's probably better that I do.
Okay.
But I just have to say that being a survivor, someone trying to survive domestic violence, because the truth is that it never ends. I have to say that chances are slim for Colton ever being called to atone or acknowledge what he has done. We live in a world that doesn't care about women. Yes, women have advanced, but not much is done to acknowledge survivors. Nor is there a true task force dedicated to doing anything about it. And how could there be? Women make up more than half of the U.S. population, but only 18% of Congress is female. There are systemic impediments to female representation, but I won't go there because there isn't enough time for that. But I've found that the organization Vote Mama is a good place to learn more about some of those impediments in regards to mothers. But more importantly, as a mother and survivor of domestic violence, where I was kicked in the stomach while 4 months pregnant, I can say that the court system, which is where people are led to believe that justice is served, does not give a damn about justice for survivors. Colton's lawyer likely knows that, so he knows that he doesn't have to respond. Family courts are a lot like abusers. They have a reputation which causes one to believe in them, and they run you through a mill of deception, force you to air out all of your secrets, and you do so thinking it will connect you to that they may want to help you get justice once they know the truth, but that couldn't be further from the truth. Your story is used against you, and even worse, used against your children. My ex is abusing our child, and when my child said something alarming to me, I went to my lawyer with that information and a video, and he told me, don't go there. If you bring up sexual abuse in court, that is a surefire way to lose custody of your child. I didn't believe it, but with a quick Google search, you find that it's true. I've been abused, and now my toddler is being abused, and the courts are going towards giving my ex everything. I have a house and a great job. My ex shares an apartment with roommates, and they don't even have a living room because it was converted to a room to save on rent. And they may give him everything and give me supervised visitation. I never hit or shout at our child. I'm a great mom. My parenting style is in line with the Montessori method and teaching methods that are influenced by Rudolf Steiner. But they don't care. The courts don't care. Congress doesn't care. Survivors are treated.
So, first of all, thank you so much for this voicemail. It cuts off at 3 minutes. So I don't know if you finished this or started over, but it won't play longer than that.
Hey, Dave, this is Anonymous again.
Okay, let's see if this finishes it up.
I'm sorry. I know that this isn't being kept to 30 seconds.
It's okay.
But I just feel like this is so important.
Please.
And just to finish off what I was saying before is that no one really cares about women, specifically survivors of domestic violence, and that survivors are treated as ghosts in this country, as evidenced by Cassie's story and countless others that go unheard or forgotten. So Colton is going to power on, and Cassie's truth will continue to be diminished until she's forgotten. And that's the unfortunate truth. I really appreciate you for speaking about this and continuing the story because it certainly needs to happen. But the truth is that there's so much more going on that no one really knows about. And abuse is being inadvertently perpetuated through our court systems and the lack of attention that it gets. You know, the Domestic Violence Act is really, it's only been around for a short amount of time. It doesn't really do much. And I've sat in on city council hearings for the Gender and Violence Committee, and it's a joke. I would encourage anyone to take some time to sit on one of their meetings. It was ridiculous. When domestic violence, there was a surge in it because of the pandemic. There was one meeting that they had to discuss that, and then they all just went on and started talking about the titles that they had and everything that they have accomplished and what they think is important. And then at the end of it, they closed the meeting saying that they were going to start a hashtag and that was their way to assist with domestic violence when there was a surge going on. No one knew about that hashtag except for anyone that was in that meeting. And who was in that meeting except for them, the supposed experts that care about solving the issue. Truth is that they don't care. It's a joke. It's just a place of smoke and mirrors. My brother's in law school, and he said that the courts are just the wild, wild west. And that's the truth. Cassie's story isn't going to be heard. No one's going to care. and it's just going to go lost. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you so much.
Continue doing what you're doing. I appreciate you. And I'm sorry if this is a downer, but I'm being silenced everywhere else.
Your story, thank you so much, is not a downer. It is a story that is shocking and also not uncommon. Thank you so much for sharing votemama.org. We'll start by plugging this. Vote Mama, led by former congressional candidate Luba Gretchen Shirley, supports Democratic moms with young children running for office up and down the ballot and across the country. You know, my mom left my father when she was pregnant with me, and he was he had PTSD from Vietnam and was like a charming man with his own issues, and she had to get us out of there. But the biggest blessing that my mom probably ever had was that he never came after us. He never fought for us. I never grew up wondering about that too much. It wasn't in my reality. I probably wasn't smart enough as a kid to be like, where is he? Why isn't he coming to get us? It wasn't one of those things. He just didn't exist. He didn't exist. In your scenario, the fight that you have to tell in court obviously must relive your traumatic moments over and over. And I think, they say justice does bend in the right direction, right? And it's slow, and obviously for a generation, judges and lawyers, and it was a man-run situation, and how could men possibly understand anything about what it feels like to be a mom? The underrepresentation in politics has to change, and it is moving in the right direction, but I know it's never as fast as possible. Same thing with female judges and black female judges in the South. This idea of like a blue wave or a wave in general to get more voices within the political world. It feels slow, but there have been movements, and it needs to continue. It sounds like you've got everything it takes to run for Congress. Really, your story and your fight. I know you're still in the middle of it. I know there's a lot of cynicism because you're in the middle of it, and I don't say that in a bad way. I understand and can hear the hopelessness in your voice. I just hope I hope you understand that, or I hope we can believe that victims' voices can and will be heard. And I think, like with Cassie, just having a vlog, even though she's not talking about it now, she's building up an audience and in a platform for herself to be able to share her message. That's why I say, like, for anyone who supports Cassie, go over to her vlog, because if she does want to talk about it one day, if she's ready to fight, if she ever gets to that point, she's going to have an army of people that trust and believe her because she's built this equity up. But I understand if you're having these conversations in court where you're trying to fight a fight and not being listened to. I can't imagine how helpless that feels. I hope that your child is safe, and I hope that you share some updates and keep sharing your message with us, because I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for calling in. I never play voicemails that long just because I get so many, but I felt like a calling to play your voicemail. It must have been your area code. I know that area code.
Sheriff here. I just wanted to say that I thought Dale came off very well in the two podcast interviews, The Hollywood Reporter and the Chicks in the Office podcast. He's very polished. He's a politician, and I think he knows how to speak very well, and I'm very happy that all he does with his philanthropic endeavors, and I wish him and Claire the best, and yeah, it's just it's a great thing. It's a great thing what he's doing, and he uses his platform for the good. So thanks everyone, and we'll catch you on the other side. Okay, bye. Take care.
All right. Well, let's see. Let's cut over to this. This is the.
So Colton Underwood,
hold on one second.
Bachelor, we all know him, came out as gay this week on Good Morning America. He sat down. He said that this is something he has been battling with for a while. He really didn't want to come to his true self. He was trying to pray the gay away in some ways, and just was denying this his whole life. And now he is ready to live his life the
Oh,
way
you know what?
that
I'm
he
gonna have
should.
to save
Yeah,
this. We'll
and-
play this another time. This might be a separate episode here. I was gonna get into it, but we got too many voicemails to get through. Stay focused, Dave. Stay focused. Thanks so much for calling, Oz. Yeah, Dale's fighting, a good fight for awareness for Special Olympics. I think he's got a family that either has played in the Special Olympics or either. I mean, he's got a lot of charities that he doesn't jam down your throat in a way to like prove he's a nice guy. He's just doing the work. You know what I mean? Which I think is great. Versus Colton Underwood, who's like, look, I'm friends with dogs. Forgive me.
Kim from Michigan. I'm watching your video on Demi Burnett. Well, words. I'm calling in regards to somebody questioning if that was domestic violence. It is definitely domestic violence. There's a resource called the Power and Control Wheel that therapists give their clients a lot. And there's so many different boxes that are ticked off of that wheel in regards to what he did. Also,
Sorry, I lost your voicemail. Multitasking. Here we go. Back at you.
don't know what happened in privacy. So we definitely don't want to minimize the experience of that potentially being worse than we even know. So yes, definitely domestic violence and needs to be taken seriously.
This is it's interesting because people, it's not one to argue on the semantics of whether or not something's domestic violence or not. I said it was. Sounds like domestic violence to me. And someone says, hey, as a survivor, it's not. And obviously we know bruises, emotional bruises and bruises to the soul and who you are on the inside, the fear-inducing, panic-inducing PTSD that might come from being stalked or whatever. Of course that's violence. By the way, this is the worst. I'm trying to find a wheel here that is not 5 megapixel. All right, so here we go. Let's take this out. So I've never seen this before. This is the violence, physical, sexual, using coercion and threats, using intimidation, using emotional abuse, using isolation, minimizing, denying, and blaming, using children, using male privilege, using economic abuse. So many different types of abuse mechanisms there to get what you want. So. With as far as Colton, he used intimidation, making her afraid by using looks, actions, gestures, smashing things, destroying her property, abusing pets. So he did this intimidation by creating a fake phone number and saying, I know where you are. Maybe even threats there, making it or carrying out threats to do something to hurt her. He didn't threat her in that way, but he said something like, you'll see. Like he did one of those, like, you'll see, ... Putting her down, making her feel bad. Now, he did make her feel bad in a way by saying, getting mad at her for speaking out at the on that Bachelor show. Isolation, no. Minimizing, denying, and blaming. Look, I'm not going to go. Children, obviously, our poor caller that just called, unfortunately, has to deal with her kids. Male privilege, treating her like a servant, making all the big decisions, acting like the master of the castle, being the one to define men's and women's roles. I don't know about that, but either way, yeah. It's if any of these ring true to you, there's I just lost the number here, but we had a phone number there for the domestic violence. You guys know the hotline. I might have just left it there. There it is. So we'll put that up there. All right, let's go through the next caller here. 970 number.
Dave, my name's Oliver from Colorado. I was just calling in to discuss a little bit about the Colton situation. One thing I am not agreeing with, which a lot of people are saying in the comments, including your videos, is just how Colton should be addressing his past behavior with Cassie. I don't think he should owe any of us any explanation or any apology. I think he just owes that to Cassie, and he can move on with his life. That's none of our business. It should never have been our business, and it can remain not our business as far as I'm concerned. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you so much for the call, and I do appreciate your disagreeing or dissenting opinion there. I think he's got his own rights to keep something private if he wants, but I think those rights were violated. I think they were violated by the fact that he didn't do right with the platform that he has, and by having the platform that he has, he's not some random individual. He's a man who's used this platform and will use it to make a living the rest of his life. There's no putting that back into the closet there. No pun intended. So I understand your point, but I also think that it's not just about Cassie. It's about people using the legal system to silence, using NDAs. Look how long Weinstein got away with having a fund where he just would pay people off. Weinstein legally probably could pay people off and they could decide they signed an NDA and this and that. And it's like, at some point, somebody's got to raise hell over this. Agree to disagree?
Hi, Dave. I'm calling from Maryland, and I'm calling in reference to the Colton Cassie issue. I just feel as though we need to take Cassie's lead. I've left a few comments, and I know everybody, wants to hear Colton's side or his apology, but I just feel as though he needs to talk directly to Cassie. We need to see where Cassie stands since she is the victim, and then we can decide whether or not we choose to forgive or not forgive him based on the lead that she gives us. I just don't find it necessary that he talks to us publicly because I want to hear directly from Cassie. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, I didn't like the fact when, look, the Colton Underwood statement after dropping charges. So I hated the way this was done. I hated the way Colton spoke out on behalf of Cassie after she dropped charges. So let's read. He says, I'm going to reread this because you say you want to hear what Cassie has to say, and I do too. That's why this eats away at me to think that some settlement was put in place where he gets the final word. Today, Cassie asked the court to dismiss the temporary restraining order against me, the 28-year-old former bachelor told Us Weekly in a statement. The two of us were able to reach a private agreement to address any of Cassie's concerns. I do not believe Cassie did anything wrong in filing for the restraining order and also believe she acted in good faith. I appreciate everyone's respect for privacy during this matter. And then she hasn't spoken literally at all about the scenario. And then this comes out. Thank you, everyone, for all the kind comments and messages. It means so much. And yes, some of you are asking about my YouTube for this week. I decided to take the week off, but we'll have one again next week. I'm not saying she's leaving us clues and she's asking us to do this research for her and fight for her. I think she's just trying to move on with her life. But with that said, obviously it means something to her to receive all the support during such a sort of odd time where, her role in this whole thing has been forgotten as a victim.
Steve, you're really limiting us here with this voicemail time, man. I mean, first 1 minute, then 30 seconds. Jesus. This is Emily from South Carolina. I'm not looking at the time, but I definitely should. Oh no. I was calling because I totally agree with your take with everything. Colton, being a stalker, he needs to be held accountable, yada, yada, yada. But, how cool would it be if Bachelor made him the first gay Bachelor?
No.
I don't like Colton, but I just think that'd be really cool. Also, you totally can get sponsors. If you need a gal to help you out, figuring that out, I got you. Bye. Love your show.
Yeah, if you want to get me any sponsors for the show, by all means, let's do that. Get me a sponsor. You get me a sponsor, there's always a commission available for you there. Who knows what I'll be sponsoring? I have to approve it first. You know what I mean? I can't be speaking about things I don't know too much about, but maybe I can. What do I know? I'm here, aren't I? All right, let's see if there's any more I haven't played. These are from earlier in the week. This one is from before. Let's see. I don't think we've played this one yet from Canada.
Bernice from Toronto, Canada. I'm just calling on the Colton Underwood coming out on ABC yesterday. I don't have a problem with Colton coming out, but it's incomplete because there was a lot of women on his season that he was making out with. And besides that, Cassie, there was so much went on, first love, whatever. And then he also did not apologize in general, but didn't go in depth. And he didn't even make an apology to Rachel Lindsay because he was after her, but there was something about this virginity thing that I just knew. No, there's no person in NFL good looking as how Colton is and is a virgin. There was something not right. There was something, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's some other guys who were on The Bachelorette that couldn't make commitment, especially in Rachel Lindsay's season that most of the Bachelor Nation people like. I will not be surprised if later on it come out that something is wrong with her runner-up too as well. I will not be surprised. A lot of these good-looking guys that don't want commitment with a woman, there's something going on. I wasn't surprised he was gay. No, sorry. Okay, bye. Listening to you right now.
Well, thank you so much for the call. Not surprised he was gay. Look, it's one of those things we've talked about. Like, you know, we can all look back on hindsight and go, oh, yeah, we had all the signs. We knew. But it's like, until Colton knows, who are we to know, you know? So I think you just accused Peter of also being a closeted gay. But again, I think for the most part, the show, there might be some closeted people that end up on the show in the way that Colton did, where you're completely like sort of like in denial. But I think for the most part, Colton was so far in denial, he wasn't trying to deceive others. He was just deceiving himself.
Hey, Dave. I wanted to talk about Colton. By the way, my name is Ashley from Florida.
Hi, Ashley.
How is Cassie ever going to trust again when she finds out that her freaking boyfriend is gay? Like, especially because it's so confusing, because his actions were so incongruent, because he was so obsessed with her. He jumped the fence for her. He put a tracking device on her car. How is she ever going to be able to trust that somebody actually does love her? It's horrible. It's traumatic, and she's going to have a lot of trust issues in the future.
Yeah.
And the fact that he didn't even warn her before he goes on national TV to come out just speaks volumes. And I don't care what excuses he has about, you know, oh, I couldn't contact her. Listen, he has a manager, and I'm sure she has a manager. So the least he could have done is have his manager contact her people and say, hey, by the way, this announcement is going to come out. There's just no excuse for that.
Absolutely.
And you know, I'm just tired of celebrating men for doing everything. And in the end, like, the women end up as collateral damage. Cassie has to come and pick up the pieces, and everybody's celebrating him and so happy for him. But this girl was not only stalked, she was lied to for years. And so I think we really need to think about how Cassie feels. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you so much for the call. You hit on so many great points. The fact that Cassie was collateral damage to his problems. The fact that, yeah, you're right. He's got management. He's got agents. All he has to do is tell them, hey, can you let Cassie's people know what's going on and just keep it on the DL, even if it's a day beforehand. There's just a respect there. Or lack thereof, but there's a respect to like warn somebody before they read it the wrong way. That way they can be told in a situation. I mean, it sounds stupid, but it's the same way like the news doesn't report on the deaths of someone until the family got to know first. It's just like common policy to be like, hey, by the way, this is what's going on. I mean, I don't know, it makes total sense to me. A couple more voicemails, we'll get out of here.
Hey Dave, this is Avery from New York. I tried sending this voicemail yesterday, but it ran way too long, so here it goes again. So this may be an unlooked at type of viewpoint, but I wanted to bring it up in hopes that people might agree with it. So bringing it back to the AFR and all the drama that occurred leading up to it with Chris and stuff, we got host Emmanuel Acho, and his life motto was all about, you know, retaining to and uncomfortable conversations and having them in order to like move forward in life and be the best version of yourself and to help others become better as well. So I've been kind of using that idea in context of this situation with Colton, and I feel like it fits. As a viewer, of course, selfishly, you know, I want to know the ins and outs of what happened with him and Cassie and like what like really went down with all the stalking and tracking device and stuff like that. And as do many. But I feel like in order to come out from this stronger and as more of a community, we need to have these uncomfortable conversations like Emmanuel always preaches.
Bingo. Something
that I remember from grade school, teacher, and this was his motto, no struggle, no strength. And as cringy as it sounds, this not only applies to current day with Colton right now, but also for Chris Harrison, also outside of Bachelor Nation. We won't get stronger without that type of struggle with having those conversations and that struggle that comes with having them. And that's factual. That is not to be so opinionated. That is the truth. In order to get stronger, we need to tackle our struggles. We need to tackle our issues. So maybe, yes, I would like to see Colton on another season for that purpose. Will that purpose be carried out? I don't know. But you can't knock it till you try it, and there's no reason why we can't try and hope, right? Well, that's all I have for now. Dave, I hope this message came across clearly. I hope anyone listening also has a great day. I'd also like to say, as some advice I would have given to Colton should be, be careful who he bangs, but for all we know, he's still a virgin. Okay, bye.
Be careful who you bang.
Absolutely right.
What the soap opera is going on?
Yeah, Avery, thank you so much for the phone call. Very, very good voicemail there. You've got a lot of great points. As far as the Emmanuel Acho conversation goes, well, let's take it back here. I don't think Colton should ever go back on the show because the show does manipulate and edit, and I want to know his authentic viewpoints. I want to know exactly what's going on. I want more reality from him than whatever The Bachelor is. Do you know what I mean? That's why I want a long-form conversation. I want those conversations, even with Emmanuel. Even the conversation with Emmanuel, I get they've got to fall into a certain time frame for YouTube, but they really don't. Even some of his good conversations are whittled down to 13 minutes. It's air the whole thing. We're smart people. We want to hear the whole conversation. So that's so Emmanuel, I love what you're doing out there, but don't be afraid to share everything you've got going on. Share the weird edits, the parts of the conversation you think are boring. We want to hear the whole thing. All right, I've got two more, and let's see who the hell this is. Here we go.
Hello, this is Megan over in Connecticut. Hope you guys are doing all right over there, getting the vaccine.
Tasha got it yesterday.
Yeah, I called your video at 10:05 to call in for this. I did sign the petition to get it removed from Netflix, and my reasoning for that is because I understand that he did say sorry, but it should have been addressed in the first part of the video. Maybe do hey, I'm sorry, blah, 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 here's what happened, a whole segment dedicated to it, and then coming out. It shouldn't have been all about him coming out, and regardless of anything he does after it, it doesn't matter, because the first time he went on, about anything in so long was about himself and him coming out, even though he did very, very barely gloss over it. I think if this was any other celebrity and it was handled this way, I think there would be an even bigger backlash. And I think maybe some other stuff in Bachelor Nation is, I don't know, overlooking, it's covering this, but I posted about it on my own personal Twitter, and people are like, oh, him, the guy who came out and was a bachelor? No, it should be, the guy who
stalked his ex,
harassed and stalked and put a tracking device on his girlfriend, who apologized, who got involved in domestic abuse survivors communities, things like that.
Yes.
And also, he's dead. It didn't happen like that. So for me, the fact that Netflix is putting this on, I don't care if it's now a whole thing dedicated to Cassie. It doesn't matter. And regardless of regardless of any legal documents, it should have been done differently. There could be ways around it, and maybe Cassie didn't want it to be done like that. Maybe there's something in the works. Maybe she's going to get something out of it. I don't know, but I think for the general public of people who have been through that, it should have been addressed. And honestly, I'm pretty shocked that more people aren't outraged.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was someone else who did this, and maybe if it wasn't a part of the Bachelor franchise, because they're a hot mess. They're messing up left and right.
Look, your voicemail just went to the 3-minute mark, so it cut off there. So I didn't get to your ending, but you had some great points. Thank you so much for calling in. Yeah, where's the outrage? Sure, there's a little bit, but you're right. The conversation, the interview should have line item addressed the domestic abuse, the stalking, the harassing. give whatever excuses you want. Talk about whatever you want, how desperate you felt, but then advocate for domestic violence awareness. I mean, in the Good Morning America interview, they've shared the suicide hotline, which is great, absolutely. But they couldn't share the other one. I'm not gonna be able to find it. There it is. They couldn't share the other hotline that you got to call when you're in domestic violence situations if you need help. You dropped the ball. You dropped the ball big time, ABC. And for whatever reason, I guess maybe he's not famous enough. So people know him, but they don't know the whole story. I'm not sure. Let's go to our final voicemail here for the day. Tasha got her vaccine yesterday, her second one, and she's having a rough one today. So I'm taking care of her today. She's out there relaxing, and she's got the shivers, and she's not feeling too well, but she was expecting a fever. That's why she got hers on a Saturday, so she can try to get over it on the weekend. I'm getting mine on a Tuesday after I do some morning videos. So you guys can follow me on my journey there at DNeals on Instagram if you haven't gone already. And of course, the vlog, Dave Neal Vlogs, is live. We have 3 videos. I'm going to be dumping all of my old vlogs onto that channel. So if you want to go back and watch Vlogmas 2020, shout out to Jen Murphy for giving me the idea, which makes sense, but it's also going to be a great way for me to boost my watch hours because the vlog now has over 1,000 subscribers, which means it used to be when you hit 1,000 subscribers, you can monetize your channel. Now it's you hit 1,000 subscribers and you need 4,000 watch hours. It just hit 1,000 watch hours. So it took us about 3 weeks to get there, which is phenomenal. So I would say in the next 3 or 4 weeks, that actually means it'll be like 10 weeks. Either way, in the next couple months, I hope to get to 4,000 watch hours. But who knows? Maybe we could do it sometime in May. Wouldn't that be nice? And it's just, once that happens, the channel will be profitable. And then I can go buy Tasha some more shoes because, Tasha needs her shoes. So anyway, let's go to our final voicemail here.
Hi, Dave. This is Jacqueline. I'm calling from Westchester, New York.
Westchester,
and first of all, I love your channel. Second of all, I just wanted to get something off my chest about what's going on with Colton right now because it's frustrating me, Dave, because I'm happy for him. Good for him that he's living his life and he's out of the closet. That's great. Nobody is faulting him.
Oh, lost you. Sorry about that. Continue there.
But it's really frustrating that nobody is talking about what he did to Cassie. And I know that this is frustrating for you too, but it's particularly frustrating for me because I'm curious if you think that the way that Colton is being treated is fair. Because when I look back at how Rachel was treated when everybody found out about her past and they were so quick to jump on her and, fault her for all of these things, but yet we just completely ignore the fact that Colton stalked and harassed Cassie, terrorized her and her family for how long? So I'm just a little bit upset with ABC and Bachelor Nation in general because they're just blatantly ignoring it, and I can't help but feel like if this was a racial issue, then he would have absolutely 100% been called out on it. But because it's what I don't even know what you would call it, an abuse issue. I mean, this is domestic abuse essentially. So I don't understand why we're just normalizing it and why somebody like Chris Harrison can get thrown under the bus to such a degree over, quote unquote, defending Rachel Kirkconnell or whatever he, did, which I really honestly don't think was that serious. But that's my personal opinion. It's just how come we are not treating Colton the same way? How come we are not holding him accountable to the same degree? I'm sorry this was more than 30 seconds, but I'm frustrated, Dave, and I'm curious to know your opinion on the matter if you really think that this is being treated the same way that other issues have been treated in the very recent past. Okay, I'm going to go. Thank you, Dave. Have a good day.
Thank you so much. Jacqueline in Westchester, New York, which is honestly one of my favorite Westchesters, is the Westchester, New York. Bestchester, Westchester. Thank you so much for the call. Very frustrating. So we've got a comparison between the racial insensitive issue with Rachel Kirkconnell, her ignorance there, her racist past, however you want to label it, whatever whatever opinion you have on that, versus Colton Underwood. I think one of the main differences, Rachel Kirkconnell had built up zero equity with the national audience with regards to them feeling empathy for her. Colton Underwood, people rooted him on. For better or for worse, they rooted him on his Christianity, his message. He's a good PR guy. He's got a good message on paper, not talking about Cassie Randolph, but in general, he's a clean-looking, good all-American guy with a good message, Christian, this and that. People were rooting him on for that, a large portion of the country. So that's the main difference between him and Rachel Kirkconnell. That, and of course, the gender difference is, was Rachel thrown under the bus because we thought we could just dispose of her? Like, all right, cancel, next. Was that the case? Rachel has come out of her issues really, really admirably. She's an advocate for a lot of social justice issues. She's posting it on her platform and using her platform. It might not be the most work someone could do, but at the age of 24, she's doing a lot more than I did at that age. Colton Underwood, people say, why hasn't he addressed it? A lot of people say, well, legally speaking, even if Cassie dropped the charges, there could still be civil suits and this and that. And it's like, look, I honestly think Cassie Randolph dropped the charges against him because she knew of the storm it would create. And as bad as she knew this situation was, I think it was quicker for her to get over it. Maybe a plea from him, maybe a settlement, maybe $50,000 in NDA, whatever the case may be. I think that it was enough to get her to be like, you know what? This isn't worth the Brian Friedman power attorney. This isn't worth all of the issues that are come with fighting this fight, even though he's been caught essentially red-handed. I mean, the prosecution, they don't prosecute cases unless they have a very high success rate in cases like this. They're not going to pick it up unless they're like, all right, we got literally a tracker number on the tracker. It's not going to be that hard to find out who purchased a tracker. You know what I mean? So, and not to mention all the other times where he sort of admitted what he had done. So anyway, I think that if you took the law side out of it, it'd be like, yeah, just apologize, own up, move on. So I guess maybe he's getting counsel that's saying, look, the majority of the world don't care enough about this story, which is sad if it's true. And it brings us back to our point before from earlier on in the video with the Vote Mama. Let's see if there it is, Vote Mama, votemama.org. And support people that are running for office that will fight for domestic violence issues, awareness at injustices. It sounds like a slow process, but you got to put your vote into the people that can make a change and speak for you. And I know that doesn't sound like it's a lot, but hopefully on this platform, if anyone has any people, when in the next set of elections that are running for office, from DAs to congressmen, right? I mean, again, I'm an idiot. The district attorney is, I think it's different from state to state, but I think you do get to vote that person in, right? Like we need to vote people into office that are going to fight for the everyday Americans, that are going to fight for victims. And maybe Cassie just feels like she's in a place where I'm sorry, I was trying to share this with you, but I didn't have the tab open. Maybe Cassie's in a place where it wasn't worth it for her to pursue the charges, even if she knew she would win. It wasn't worth it for her because she probably knew she had the nuclear codes to ending this guy's career. And that even if you are the victim, that can still be very hard to acknowledge. I know I'm sure people that have custody cases, you don't want to always pull the nuclear codes on something that could destroy the father of your child or whatever the case may be. So, there's humanity there. So, it would just be nice if Colton operated with the same I think respect for humanity that it appears that Cassie did. She didn't want any of this. She did not want to have to post on Instagram like all of her rebuttals to what he was saying. He kind of knew she didn't want to post on Instagram. He knew she didn't want to make this thing public. So when he started making his statements, he kind of thought he had this carte blanche to just say what he wanted. And she came out there and she was strong and she set boundaries, even though she didn't want to have to do that. And that's a strong woman right there. Anyway, you guys have been amazing. Your voicemails have been incredible. I know this topic is very heavy, and I know that a lot of people might not want to talk about it. We just follow what's going on in the Bachelor world. And if one day we're talking about Rachel Kirkconnell and the next day it's Dale's Toes and the next day after that we're talking about Colton Underwood, well, then them's the times, folks. So is it fair, your question, how Rachel Kirkconnell and Chris Harrison were treated versus Colton Underwood? It's a dodgy subject because there's a lot of variables. With regards to Chris Harrison, I'm sure he's sitting in his Texas home being like, you got to be kidding me. You know, there he is, like, supporting Colton Underwood publicly on his Instagram, saying, congrats, man, I'm happy for you. But he's probably thinking things he just can't say. He's still under contract. Right, so he's thinking things like, this is baloney, you know, but that, or maybe not. Maybe he realizes he oversteps his bounds and he can change for the better. I don't know what they're thinking, folks. But anyway, I think this will be it for me unless some crazy news comes out. I've got a lot of work to do. I'm like I said, I'm taking all my old vlogs and putting them to the new vlog channel. So if you guys want to go check that out, I appreciate everyone that's come over. I'm shocked it's over 1,000 subscribers so quickly. And yeah, there's a lot of fun that's going to be happening over there. And all right, I got to go back to taking care of Tasha. We got to go rub our toes and make her watch Disney movies all day. But you guys have an excellent one. Thank you so much for being a part of this journey. Monday, 4 p.m. is the next live stream, and I'm sure we'll have a lot of other videos coming up tomorrow. I appreciate everyone who's sent me messages when there's a story that they want covered. It really does help my job. So keep on sending messages at DNeals. All right, that's it for me. Everyone be kind out there. Again, happy 24th birthday, Shannon. Get out there, make some choices you'll regret later in life. Go meet some guys and be careful. Sorry, missed it up here.
Be careful who
you
bang.
bang. That's a special shout out to Shannon on your 24th. Just be careful. Enjoy it out there, folks. Bye, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow.